So crazy enough, the Language Arts Level 1 program actually has a side-by-side scope and sequence of the Level 1 Language Arts and the Learning to Read program. I'm going to show it to you right here in this book because remember, you're supposed to start Language Arts Level 1 when you get to the 5th light unit of the Learning to Read program. So you're supposed to be using this and Learning to Read together at the same time. So right here in the teacher's guide, here's the side-by-side comparison. Here's Language Arts 1 and Learning to Read. So when you are doing your very first lesson of the Language Arts Level 1 program, you should be on Learning to Read, Light Unit 105, Lesson 5. Then the next day, when you do your second lesson of Language Arts, you'll be moving on to your 6th lesson of the Learning to Read program in the Light Unit 105. First, it doesn't seem like the two programs are coinciding, but I promise there is a method to the madness. Eventually, it does all come together, and there is a reason why you're supposed to use them consecutively in the way that they have it laid out. For example, you'll see here that on day 4 of the 10th Light Unit in Learning to Read, they were practicing these suffixes, these ED endings. And then they're hitting those ED endings again like a day after in the Language Arts program. Same thing here, like you can see in the Learning to Read program on lesson 9, they learned the vowel set EA. So that was being introduced for the first time in this program. And then they're going to do a review of this in the Language Arts lesson number 10 shortly after. So it's not too far away that they're already forgetting what they've learned. This is why this is such a brilliant way to do the spiral method. It's not like other curriculums where you feel like you're bouncing around all over the place and they're never actually mastering anything. And then you are going to notice that eventually your Learning to Read program is going to end. It's on the 10th light unit. After lesson 11, you are done with Learning to Read and you're going to actually start level 1 reading. Language Arts level 1 is going to continue. Your last light unit for Learning to Read is going to happen when you're on the 6th light unit of Language Arts. So you've got about 4 more light units to go after you finish Learning to Read program. It's up to you if you just want to finish Learning to Read and then jump right into level 1 reading and do level 1 reading consecutively with Language Arts level 1. According to this other schedule that they have laid out for you in the teacher's guide, it does show you that once you finish your Learning to Read program, here you are doing your very last test of Learning to Read. You're on that 6th light unit in Language Arts. So here's LA. You've just finished your Learning to Read test. Now you're doing your Language Arts light unit, workbook number 6, lesson number 2. It does show that the very next day, when you move on to Language Arts lesson 3, you are supposed to start reading. Here's your RE for reading. Reading level 1, it's light unit book number 1, lesson 1. I know that seems super overwhelming and crazy when you look at all of the different ways they have it organized, but for us, we are in level 2 now. So we are doing level 2 reading and level 2 language arts. And now at this level 2 stage, it's so nice because both subjects coincide so perfectly. Like just yesterday, my daughter had a quiz in language arts and she also had a quiz in reading. So for me as the parent, I know, oh, it's a quiz day or oh, it's a test day. And language arts and reading, they're both gonna have their tests and their quizzes on the same day. So I'm not having to like juggle a million different tests. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to run my camera over the scope and sequence for both the Learning to Read program and the Language Arts program. And then you can just pause, screenshot, do whatever you need to do.